Om Shanti. Pleasant good evening. Good evening. Welcome to you all to Shanti Sarovar, refreshing Sunday evening talks. Every Sunday, you are receiving lots of inputs for a refreshing week. You all feel? Yes, that's why you all are here. So, special welcome to you. Those who are here for the first time, my request, who are Acha, how did you come to know? Your sister. What about you, dear? Friends. Okay. Your first time? Okay. How did you come to know? Friends. Okay. So these are regular series of Brahma Kumari's Shanti Sarovar every Sunday evening from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. Lots of inputs, not only to develop, to progress in our personal lives, but it is professional, emotional, mental level, spiritual level also. How we can cultivate ourselves in a very positive, peaceful manner. So these are based on not only just meditation, but practical implementation of meditation, practical implementation of spirituality. It is not just the imparting knowledge alone, but more than that, how that knowledge could be useful and how it is practiced in day to day life. Right? So, special welcome to you all. And this is Shanti Sarovar, South India's largest retreat center of Brahma Kumaris, where we do conduct lots of training programs, in-house programs for corporate world, government world, to have their overall personality development. So we have the same session continuing for children also. I hope your children also are joining with Bala Vrindavanam. So these two programs every Sunday evening do happen in Shanti Sarovar. So different topics, different speakers across the world every week giving their inputs to make the world beautiful and peaceful. So what is the talk today? What is the topic? What is the topic? What is the topic? Yes? You have to check.
I could tell you.
Yeah, now you will tell. So what is the topic? Consciously creating a beautiful world. Are you all creating a beautiful world? Trying to. Yeah. So, beautiful world out there alone or somewhere else I need to create also? Beautiful world is only outside world or do I need to create something also beautiful? Inside. Yes. My world also to be first beautiful so that I can create the world outside also. It is not something which will happen just so. No, I have to work, I have to create consciously, deliberately, purposefully, then only the world will be beautiful. So, to throw light on that topic today, we have very special guests with us. Let's welcome Dr. Debbi and Dr. David Fletcher onto the stage. So, they all are already here. So, let's welcome today's moderators. Just to let you know about both of them, Dr. Debbi is an education specialist who designs and facilitates transformational learning experience internationally. Her expertise is in participatory, inclusive, and reflective learning approaches with public and private organizations, universities, and communities around the world. In 1919, while living in Ethiopia, Debbi was introduced to meditation for a peaceful world by the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization. She has been a practicing student of Raj Yoga meditation ever since. Debbi coordinates in the virtual hub for BKs, Brahma Kumars and Kumaris living in remote areas of Canada From her village, 2 hours from the nearest BK Center in Halifax. Debbi's greatest joy is inspiring souls to be their best by recognizing their strengths and virtues, which we will see in today's session also. Coming to Dr. David Fletcher, has worked as an educator, action researcher, and capacity building consultant with people from more than 50 countries. He specializes in transformative education, community driven development, and building resilient communities. Over the past 35 years, David's work has taken him to countries in Africa, Asia, and North America to work collaboratively on issues of peace, equity, justice, and honoring indigenous wisdom. David has practiced meditation with the Brahma Kumaris for over 20 years. So we have a lot of wisdom to share by both of them, since they have experience of nearly 50 years of experience in spirituality, and of course more than that in the community services and indigenous work. So let's see what they have to offer and how we have to bring that in our day-to-day life for creating a better world consciously. Over to you both, sweet souls.
Om Shanti. Thank you so much, Vasanta. Lovely to be here. I already feel like we're creating a beautiful world because I can see some smiles on faces. And it's really easy when people smile to feel a little bit better about ourselves and each other. So this evening, as Vasanta has said, we are going to learn about and practice consciously creating a beautiful world. And when I think of a beautiful world, it might be a peaceful world. It might be a more loving world. It might be a true world. There are many ways we can define it, and each one of us will have our special role in helping create a beautiful world. So there was a story once of a fire in the forest, and all the animals ran away. And one little hummingbird was going and getting water from the river and coming back and dropping it on the fire, and getting a drop of water and dropping it on the fire. And the other animals said, "What are you doing?" He says, "It's all I can do to help." So part of what we will explore tonight in our conversation and some experiments, we'll do some experiments, is to find our way. Each of us has a unique role in helping create a beautiful world. So I thought we could start with a meditation, very short, and we will use lots of visuals tonight to help stimulate ideas of a beautiful world. And you'll have your own, but we'll start with some meditation. So I'll ask you to, most of you are sitting comfortably already, but putting 2 feet on the floor. You can choose to close your eyes or keep them open, either. And take a deep breath in and breathe out. And feel the energy in your feet and bring it up through your legs, up through your backbone, up to your head. Feel the energy in your hands. Bring it up through your arms, through your shoulders, and again into your head and into the point between your eyes. Feel the gentle sweetness of sitting in peace, sitting in love, sitting in happiness. thank yourself for coming here tonight. And in your mind, send a thank you out to everyone else in the room who have come to consciously create a beautiful world. Take a deep breath and open your eyes. And we'd like you to watch this first 1 minute video about the color green. I hope I'm not in the way. Are we in the way? No. So I'd like you each to think about what's your favorite color and how does it make you feel when you see it or wear it? What's your favorite color? And just for a minute, turn to a person near you, beside you, or near you. And if you don't know them, share your first name. But share your favorite color with them and how it makes you feel. You might turn around if there's no one beside you. So we heard about the color green here. What are some of the other feelings that people have when they see their favorite color? And we'll just hear one or two examples from the room. We thought we'd have a microphone. I don't know if that's, yeah? Great. So just one or two people might show their hands and just share. What's your favorite color and how does it, what feelings does it bring to you? One here, one back there.
Yeah, my name is Narendra. My favorite color is yellow. I feel very pleasant by wearing that.
Nice, pleasant feelings. Good. And there was one more down there. Far away.
Hi, good evening everyone. My name is Gundappa Margutti. My favorite color is blue. Whenever I wear blue, I feel great.
Very good. Great. Satisfied. Anyone else? Just another one. There's one. You can pass it to her.
Hi, my name is Abha Rashmi. My favorite color is pink. I feel pleasant, smiling when I see the color pink.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for the examples, because this is one of the things in thinking about consciously creating a beautiful world, that we bring into our environment things that remind us of these feelings, that bring these feelings out in us, of feeling pleasant, of feeling in harmony, of feeling the joy that there can be in life. And we need sometimes a stimulus to remind us. And so color is one that can do that. So when we think about creating an environment that is beautiful, we might think about including the colors that bring us peace, bring us happiness. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Vasantaben, for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. Om Shanti. I wanted to talk just a little bit about my own transformation in thinking that I think is helped me in creating a beautiful world around me. My professional work for many years has been in community development and in the vibration. I hope it's a good vibration. It's making people feel happy. So yeah, I've worked in community development and social justice work in many different countries in the world. Been very blessed to visit different places and learn different things. But in much of my professional training and the universities I worked in where I've taught other people, when you work in community development and social justice, you often look at communities, you look at society as a whole, and you look at the problems that are there. And you spend a lot of time learning how to do analysis of where the problems come from. What is the root cause of the problem? And your whole professional work, and me for many years, much of my professional work was about helping communities, helping groups identify the problems in society. I did lots of work in rural areas. So why are rural areas so poor? I did a lot of work in anti-racism training. Why are certain ethnic groups or certain races discriminated against? Why are people with disabilities discriminated against? And you need to do the analysis of all of these things before you then start to change it. So you begin by looking at the problems that people have. And over the years, I started to realize that when you begin by looking at the problems, it brings the energy down. The vibration becomes very negative. You might get a little angry at the situation you see in the world. You might feel some sorrow for your fellow human beings when you look at things that way. And I come from Canada, and I've been able to do a lot of work with Indigenous people in Canada, the so-called Red Indians in Canada. And very often people think they're very poor, they're very primitive, they're not civilized, they don't have any spirituality, lots of negative comments about those people. And often in society, if you have those negative comments, you begin to see people in that way as problems that need to be solved. And I realized how it changed the world when I stopped thinking about poor, rural, primitive people to think about vibrant communities that love their culture and try to protect their history and traditions and care about other people that have had similar histories and backgrounds. So just by changing the words and the way you think about certain groups of people and certain situations, rather than thinking about the problems they have, but think about the capacities or the strengths they have, it starts to change the way you interact and you think about things. And the later years of my professional work, I've tried to think very positively and think in that way about the strengths of people. We hear about it from a psychological sense, but also as a rural sociologist, it works when we think about groups of people and communities of people. And we can actually change the world or begin to change the world when we start thinking about things differently. So I wanted to start a little bit in that sense of appreciating what different groups bring to the world, when sometimes we think they have nothing to offer. They're backward, they're primitive. Sometimes I think in India, the Adivasi groups, we think of those poor, primitive people that we have to help. But there are really big strengths that they have and things that they can offer the rest of society. So I want us to move now, and we're going to play 3 short video clips back to back. And just for you to watch those and see how they have an impact on your thinking and if they do any shifts in your thinking. Just before we start the video clips, you'll see many of the video clips, they talk about golden drops. And like Debbi said about the bird, just taking a drop of water on the fire, trying to make a difference. You know, every time we do something positive in the world, every time we think positively in the world, every time we put out an intention that's positive in the world, it starts to change the vibration. And these golden drops are a global campaign of the Brahma Kumaris to try and collect positive things, shine beauty on the world. And if we all do that, maybe it can start to make a change in the world. So let's look at these next 3 clips back to back, and then we'll have some discussion about them.
What I love most about humanity is that on the one hand, we have a huge diversity of cultures, traditions, and ways of living, and yet beneath all of those differences, we're all very similar. We all want to love and to be loved. We all want to be happy like children. And once we get beneath those surface differences, it's easy to connect with each other.
He's got a little bit of goodwill in his community.
So for me, a beautiful world means that making responsive policies and programs that benefit smallholder women farmers across the globe, particularly in Africa and then in smaller communities. These women over the years have kept our seeds alive. They have contributed through their own indigenous knowledge and practices to see that the seeds that we have today are still alive for generations to come. So this makes it a beautiful world for them, a beautiful world for all of us, and a beautiful world for everybody everywhere in the globe.
So 3 quite different videos. Someone from Turkey talking about liking diversity and humanity. The other 2 are communities I've had the privilege to work in. One in Canada, a First Nations or Indigenous community where they're celebrating their culture and their identity. And the third one about African farmers, where both Debbi and I have done some work. And they're sort of revaluing indigenous seed and indigenous ways of farming. So they were very short, but anyone care to comment on what did the videos say to you? Did anything speak out to you? Did anything shift in your thinking from watching those particular videos? Just what was your sense from the videos? Protecting their originality. Okay, very nice. Anyone else? Just put your hand and we can take the microphone around. We've heard from many brothers. Maybe some of the sisters want to comment. There's the sister here, but maybe someone different. You know, think about how is your thinking shifted or affected from this? A brother at the back? Maybe it wasn't, and say that it just stayed the same. Yes, brother.
Sir, good evening. Sir, culture.
And what about culture did you see that made you think differently?
Sir, there are different types of culture are showing that picture or that video, like some dance and some different types of people are there. Like some different types of colors are there, and one bond is there, hand. So that is the one type of friendship bond, and that video also showing ki in our world all is one, like everything is a human being.
Mm-hmm.
That's type of no one is different, sir.
Very nice, thank you. Someone at the back, and then we can talk to this woman who is here. Did I see at the back? Yes, please.
Hello, good evening to everyone. We should accept every culture, whatever it is. As a human being, every person is having different culture, every community is having different culture. We should accept everyone's. Everyone is having the basic rights their own.
Thank you. Very nice.
Thank you.
You know, so often I know from the perspective in Canada, we think of Africa as very poor. They can't solve their own problems. And sometimes in Canada, when we think about Indigenous people, we think about problems they have with alcohol or problems they have with drugs. But we can change that thinking and start thinking positively about those groups. And if we actively look for positive things, it can start to make a shift with those groups. Yes, the woman here, did you still want to share something?
Good evening, Ken. This is Abha Rashmi here. What I felt seeing the videos is the happiness in the faces of people, the happiness in their hearts in whatever situations they are, whatever profession they are, whatever they're doing, they were happy. That's what I saw in those videos.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the value of sharing that happiness on our faces, in our thoughts, in the way we look and greet other people.
Yes, and generosity, spreading and love and
generosity,
happiness.
Nice. Yeah, that can lift the vibration, the feeling in the whole room.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So we need to look inside and cultivate that positivity inside, but we can also share it with others in the world.
Right.
And that helps things change for the whole world. Thank you. Maybe one last comment from anyone? Yes, in the front row here. Can we pass the microphone just so everyone can hear? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It was heartening to see that there were young people in the video.
Mm-hmm.
When we think about Indigenous people or farmers, we have this idea that only old people are continuing the practices. So it was heartening to see in the second video that even young people were participating in the cultural activities. So, and in the third video, that they were not talking about modernization to solve their problems. They were talking about how they can continue the practices. And we could see many young people still practicing the age-old ways of how things were done. So maybe, they are happy. That is what I felt. That they were content, they were happy. From the video, that is the thing that I could gather.
Thank you for that. Often we talk about in my work that, we work to revitalize the cultures, revitalize the identity that people already have and share that with the world. Revalorize the knowledge they have. People used to be proud to be farmers. And now many kids in school, they're told, if you don't study hard, you will become a farmer. But why is being a farmer bad? How many people ate dinner today? Or ate any food today? Show your hands. Anyone eat food? So the food comes from farmers. So we should be very proud of farmers and want to support what farmers do. And I think that kind of attitude shift in a small way can begin to create what we want to see in the world. So one of the small things we wanted to start sharing.
Thank you, everyone, to responding to some of the things that David has been experiencing. In my own work, I've been very interested in visioning how we could say how we see the world. And part of the work that I do, and when I did my doctorate, it was helping people from where they are to where they want to be. And that can be on an individual basis, but often I was working with organizations who understood the value of their vision, whether they were working to improve the lives of women, whether they were healthcare workers looking to improve reduce their own stress levels, understanding where they were and identifying what's the vision of how we would like things to be. And sometimes they were so swamped in their day-to-day activities and work and responsibilities that they had a difficult time even imagining one small drop, one golden drop, of how it could be different. So it's very important for each of us to be able to use our vision as we look out on the world to not catch people doing things wrong, but to help see the beauty. I liked your word, it's heartening to see people proud of their culture, young people taking up. And so working with those ideas and sharing them with others, feeling our own responsibility for seeing the beauty in what's going on, even though it might be a very difficult or awkward situation. Seeing the beauty and speaking to it, feeling it in ourselves and sharing the feelings that we're having, because people get a lift from the feelings. We started with color, now we're talking about culture and change. And so the vision that we have, the glasses that we wear, do they allow us to see something that is positive in every situation? In every situation. And in following up on my visioning work, I began using a tool called appreciative inquiry, which always starts with a question about, remember a time when your team was able to excel. Remember a time when you felt really happy. Remember a time when your family had a wonderful celebration. And that asking people to reflect and remember as a starting place for a conversation lifts the energy in the room, lifts what's happening. So this idea of what are we grateful for? What do we appreciate about our experience? Helps us to identify internally some sources of pure good energy for beauty, for happiness, for peace. So each of these tools I found, visioning and appreciative inquiry, ways that we could have conversations to influence each other. And it's a really important thing because we know the company we keep will either bring us down or lift us up. And in our families, it's really important to understand that others may be having difficulties, but how am I a role model to them of finding something good in what's going on, finding something beneficial that's happening, and to bring that out, to bring it into speech, to bring it into conversation. So when I began using these, I searched for them and began using these tools, I found that I was being surrounded by greater degrees of positivity, good things happening, opportunities were opening up, and it's amazing what begins to happen when we change our thinking, which changes how we see what's happening outside. So again, we'd like to show you 3 of the videos that have been crafted out of we're working to get 365, one for each day of the year from countries around the world. But here are 3 building on this idea that I've just shared around how we see the world and how we participate with others in sharing beauty in the world. It's a bit.
and I am like excited and happy always. Thank you. Well, खुशी is like I am like मुझे सब अपने लगते हैं. Everyone is I feel like my family. So मुझे उनको प्यार देना, उनको खुश करना बहुत अच्छा लगता है. और मेरे लाइफ में जो भी सिचुएशन आते हैं तो आई फील वो मुझे कुछ सिखाने आए हैं. और मुझे बहुत ही एक्साइटमेंट होता है कि इस सिचुएशन से मुझे क्या सीखने मिलेगा. एंड आई एम लाइक एक्साइटेड एंड हैप्पी ऑलवेज. थैंक यू.
So now you've all been in my garden. And our kitchen. And I watched as Bashal, her happiness came out. I watched all of you, and all of you smiled. It's just automatic, and it's just lovely to see. And so that immediate reaction to what can happen. And I want to work with what she said. We're going to do, I like experiments, you can tell. We're going to do a little experiment. And the first one is simple. I want each of us, all at the same time, when I say go, to stand up and sit down, stand up and sit down, stand up and sit down. So 3 times. Nothing else. Ready, set, go. Okay, we're going to do it again, but what I want you to do is choose one affirmation for yourself. Either I am happy, I am peaceful, I am loveful, I am powerful. So choose one of those. Everyone got one? And if you have another one, that's okay too. Choose one. And we're going to do it again. And every time you stand up, I want you to say it. So you'll be saying it 3 times to yourself. Should we say it out loud or just to ourselves? To ourselves. Okay. I agree. So say your affirmation and you stand up, say it, sit down. Stand up, say it, sit down. Stand up, say it, sit down. Ready, set, go. Okay. Was there any difference for you between the first time and the second time? And again, we'll pass the mic around just to hear a few examples of what can happen. So any difference for anyone? There's a microphone here. It ended up in front of the TV. Examples, if there was any difference in how you felt.
Confirmation from the brain and the body.
Aha, the brain and the body were moving together. Great. That's really important what you've said. Great.
Energy level in the body.
What happened? What?
It got increased.
It increased. Very interesting. When we have intention, affirmation, the energy increases. Here's one over here.
The first time I did it with a lot of fun, joy, and the second time I think there was a lot of affirmation, confirmation, positive energy going in what I determined.
Right. So very nice that when we're in I'll say a lecture hall, we think we're going to be sitting there. So even just moving, we get some joy. And then to give ourselves an intention from it, I like what you're saying in terms of it even increases the energy. Yeah, great.
I felt a vibe of positive energy.
Say again?
Vibe of positive energy.
Aha, very positive vibe of energy, good. And I noticed all of us had our own pace. We didn't all stand up and sit down at the same time. And it's a very important thing when we think about the energy we have and the energy we share. It can have an effect of bringing greater energy to the world.
Yeah, first time I said I am happy. Second time it increased 2 times. And third time it increased 4 times. Exponentially it increased.
Aha.
Yeah.
It didn't just increase, exponentially it increased. Very nice. So say more about I feel what I am.
Peaceful, happy, and powerful.
Yeah. It really brings the feelings which give us the lift, which makes a difference in how we look out on the world. Great. I saw a hand way over here, maybe even 2. Yeah. There's a microphone coming back.
Yeah, although it was appearing very good to say, but there was some resistance in saying that. So,
Aha. Resistance in giving yourself the affirmation?
yeah.
Aha. It's especially true for us women. Men have less chance of falling into this resistance to say, I am beautiful, I am happy, I am. So some little resistance you found inside, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that becomes, I'll say, blinders to seeing a beautiful world. And so sometimes we have to work with the resistance. And that's why I liked the appreciative inquiry. I have to remember a time when I felt happy. Oh, yes. And we really have to do the work and then remind ourselves. And there's a belief that there is a memory far beyond this birth that we're in now, that we can remember that beauty. Right? So that's a nice thing to get in touch with as well. Any other quick thoughts about what happened in the experiment? One here and one there. Please.
I was more conscious while doing second time,
Mhm.
and I want to make sure what I said I feel myself.
Yeah.
So that made me happy.
Yeah. So this idea of consciousness, being more conscious, like the gent in front of you said, my body followed what I was thinking, my mind became that way, so the thoughts having an impact is really valuable.
Yeah.
Very
Correct.
good. And another one?
More of a task that we had to do, and the second time it was more intentional and with more, positive energy I could do it.
Yeah. I like what you're bringing to us, because very often we get into a routine in life. And if we've been if we have been influenced by a society that brings news to us all the time of what's difficult, what's wrong in the world, we start thinking that way. And suddenly we don't have, even inside our thinking, a way of getting to something positive. So you're bringing the intention in the second one changed what was happening. Very nice. So lots of good things about, in the group, about the second one with intention changed the vibration, changed the level, changed how I felt inside, changed what happened outside. Great. Yeah?
Thanks, Debbie. And maybe just to follow up on what Debbie was saying, you know, so often when we're walking around in the world, we're, you know, worried about what just happened. You know, I just came from the taxi and it was late and the traffic was bad, and we're thinking about the past, regretting something that happened in the past. Or as we're walking and moving forward, we're worried about the meeting I'm going to have with my boss. What will happen? Am I ready? For students, have I prepared well for my exam? Thinking about the future. But just reflect for a minute and imagine if, when you were walking between point A and point B, just for 5 minutes, that you kept saying to yourself, I am a peaceful soul, or I am happy today, or I feel confident today about what I'm doing. And you just repeated those words to yourself, and it will change the way you interact with the world. And people think that we can't create the world, that the world is out there and it's always affecting us. But in fact, like someone said, our intentions, our thoughts, the way we generate those ideas can actually create the world that we will have. So it's a good activity to start thinking about how we can consciously create the world we want to have. But we were thinking in some ways about, you know, how does this science work? Is it just positive thinking, or is it a real science that works? And I told you my background is rural sociology. It's not psychology or brain science. But I've read a lot from brain scientists, and they talk about neural pathways. You know, the synapses between different parts of our brains and how they work. And I'm from Canada, and one example I heard is, you know, if you walk in the snow in Canada, it leaves a trail behind you. So if you want to walk the same way again, it's easier because there's a pathway there. Our brains work the same way. If different parts of our brains keep getting connected in the way we're thinking, then it will develop a habit and we'll continue thinking in that particular way. So if we think we're worried, or we have low self-esteem, we don't have much hair, so we don't know what people will think about the way we look. If we keep thinking those thoughts, we're actually creating a pathway in our brain that will make us continue to have more thoughts like that in the future. And if we're going to shift our thinking and shift the neural pathways in our brain, we need to consciously make choices about thinking positively and having good intentions of how we work together. And that's science. Science has demonstrated that. You know, there's also this talk about the collective consciousness. You know, we have those thoughts ourselves, but also other people have thoughts in a particular way. Debbie mentioned earlier about, you know, the noise of the world. If you watch the news and learn about the bad things happening in the news all the time, and your neighbor watches the news and listens to the news. And you call your mother or father, or you call your children, and they've been looking at the news and the bad things in the news. The whole vibration of all of you becomes very negative, and you start worrying about all of those things that are happening in the world. And it actually changes the vibration. You know, if you enter a room where the husband and wife or two brothers or whoever it is have been having an argument, you can actually feel some tension in the room. You know, there's a feeling there, there's a vibration that's real. It's a metaphysical reality. They've measured it. You know, how the vibration feels in the room. So what if we start to make some choices about the vibrations we want to put out in the world? And if other people also make those choices, and other people make those choices, positive choices, and other people make those positive choices, the collective consciousness, the vibration of how we interact, and the energy we put out into the world starts to shift. It starts to change. Not only our own neural pathways, but it can affect the neural pathways of other people and those closest to us, our children, our parents, our friends, our loved ones. We can together raise that consciousness and create a different kind of world around us. There's one other science that I wanted to share, and we have another little video clip. You know, all of these video clips, different people have contributed from parts around the world about how they're thinking, what they think is important of creating a new world. So together, all of these different videos, I think, are also raising our consciousness. So let's look at the next one. This is from a scientist, Deepak Chopra, who many of you may know, have heard of. He's written many books. And he talks about the idea of metamorphosis, of how a caterpillar changes into a beautiful butterfly, and the science behind that. So let's watch the next video.
One of the best examples to look at collective transformation is the process in biology that is called metamorphosis, when something like a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. The two are quite different. A caterpillar is like a worm. A butterfly is a very magical creature with beautiful colors that flies. This is what happens. At a certain point in its development, a caterpillar becomes very greedy. It starts to consume more than it needs. And when its consumption exceeds its metabolic needs, the caterpillar's body starts to die. And it starts to liquefy. But within the body of the caterpillar, there are a few cells here and there that scientists refer to as the imaginal cells. Imaginal cells. Because these imaginal cells are dreaming a new reality, literally. These imaginal cells, they vibrate in a different frequency of consciousness. And when the caterpillar's body recognizes these imaginal cells, they attack them. The immune cells of the caterpillar, they attack the imaginal cells. But because the imaginal cells are vibrating at a different frequency, they remain immune to the onslaught. Soon the immune cells give up a critical threshold, then something magical happens. A gene, a genetic code that has been lying dormant in the body of the caterpillar, it wakes up. And in that genetic code is the information for wings. is the information for a new heart, the information for antenna, the information for legs, the information for a new metabolic rate, because the metabolic rate of a flying creature has to be different from the metabolic rate of a worm. All that is coded in the gene. And the gene which was sleeping wakes up because of the connectivity of the imaginal cells. And as the rest of the body of the caterpillar starts to die, then the imaginal cells, they start to use the dying carcass of the caterpillar as their nutritive soup. And soon a butterfly emerges with the flight to freedom. You are the imaginal cells. So please start to imagine the new reality.
Let's just hold it there. And maybe I can ask each of you, just in silence in yourself, think about what is the imaginal cell you think you have within yourself that's going to make you something more beautiful in the future. Something you have inside yourself that if you focus on it, it's going to transform you to be the happiest, most loving, most beautiful being you can be. Because it's there, and it might just not be something that you've been focusing on. But that imaginal cell can exist within you. And when you think about society as a whole, we are now 8 billion people in the world. You and the way you live in the world can be an imaginal cell that makes a difference for many, many other people. Starting with your friends and your family and your neighborhood and the people you work with. You can have an influence on all of those people to actually consciously create a more beautiful world. You have the opportunity to do that. And this campaign that we talked about earlier is a way to gather some of those ideas of beauty and where you see beauty and where you see positivity in the world. These different video clips were not planned. People just put out the call to anyone who has an idea of where they see beauty, where they find beauty, and how to shine light on that beauty. And there's a website, a Facebook page, an Instagram page. And if you have something, like some people like the color blue, some people like the color yellow. If you have something that gives you that energy that you think can positively change the world, send your idea or your video clip. You know, this is the generation of, I say YouTube, people say, no, you're very old. It's not YouTube, it's TikTok. Even TikTok, I think, is finished, and there's something else, right? But we can share these things across the entire world. And they might seem very small, but in fact, they can make a big difference. And they can influence the world. So the next video clip, if we can show it, is an invitation for you to share your golden drop, your positive feeling with others in the world.
Golden Drops is a global initiative by Brahma Kumaris that aims to engage hearts and minds to behold the beauty and begin consciously creating a beautiful world.
If something is powerful enough in our thoughts, then it takes practical form in the world out there. This collective energy can bring things to a critical mass, and a better world will come about in a flash.
Shining light on beauty. Shining light on beauty in this world today, whatever beauty you can find. It's beauty in others, it's beauty in nature, beauty in creativity, and beauty in yourself, of course. And these are all golden drops. And these golden drops you can share. You can share by talking about it, you can share by thinking about it in your mind, and you can share it on social media.
Every day, golden drops are coming in from different countries. Each drop adds positive energy to create a beautiful world. Reach out to someone you know from a country not already highlighted on the map, and let's shine light on beauty from each and every country and cover the entire world with gold. This will be a New Year's gift to the world.
So this is an invitation not only for people you know in other countries, but for yourself, your family, people anywhere to contribute these golden drops for the world. And maybe we can just quickly show the YouTube channel, and we can scroll through it. You can see some of the different YouTube clips that have been shared. Yeah, if we go to the videos, you can see lots of different ones from different parts of the world. Sister Shivani is there. Lots of different people have contributed short golden drops, that ripple out into the world. And drop by drop, our thirst can be quenched and we can have the world we want in the future. So before we wrap up with final thoughts, any comments or questions people want to ask from the group? Any thoughts you've had? Any golden drops that people want to share at this point before we bring the evening to a close? Questions, comments, songs, dances? Anything people would like to share? Smiles, it's very nice. Just look around and smile at everyone in the group. Raises the vibration. It seems like a simple thing, but in fact, it can make a big difference in the world. Thank you. Debbi?
I've had a lot of fun with this invitation. Other people started it. But as I did my work and saw beauty in situations, the women farmers in Africa, I just pulled out my cell phone and said, Elham, tell us about what you're doing. It's amazing. And she did that. She maybe talked for 2 minutes. And the team's in Thailand, who then takes it and wraps it up in the branding of the golden drop. And I know that there have been situations I've been in where people have talked about what's going on in their lives and how they have changed something. And I've said, can I video you talking about that? And there's about 5 of them on the channel if you go and look at some of them. And we've organized them in terms of creativity and sport and all of those things. So it's quite inspiring. And I'd like to take us to a meditation to perhaps end the evening. Yeah? Okay. So again, sit comfortably. Take a deep breath in. Feel settled. Feel happy. Feel grateful for the people who came and joined us here tonight, who offered their comments, who offered their feelings, who took us from the way we were when we arrived to having new thoughts, new feelings about how to create a more beautiful world. And as you think about leaving here tonight, I'd like you to again think of your favorite color and the feelings that that generates in you. And somehow this week, talk to someone about their favorite color and see what happens. I'd like you to choose an affirmation as you start your day. I am a peaceful soul. I am a pure soul. I am a loveful soul. I am a wise soul. I am a happy soul. Choose one that works for you. Focus on it in the morning when you wake up. Take it into the day. Remind yourself of it through the day. And then look back at the end of the day. Where was I able to help consciously change the vibration? And when you can sit down and do a meditation, morning or evening, go deep inside to that special place where your imaginal cells exist that are telling you this is your special role. This is what you have to give to the world. The world needs it now. The world needs you. The world needs me to consciously create thoughts of beauty, to consciously create thoughts of happiness, to consciously create thoughts of peace that lead to changing the vibration in us and around us. Om Shanti.